Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on the path of public service, I am greatly honored to be interviewing Kohn Dayton. Greetings, Lauren. How are you?
Good morning, Hercules. And just to let the viewers know, today's Hercules' birthday, and he's taking the time to do this on his birthday so that our voters are informed. So thank you, Hercules.
Well, it's my present to Tenafly. In Greek birthdays, the birthday person gives the present. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now, I remember when you were first elected into this position on the council, and you have been a very powerful voice in our community and a powerful presence in our community. What path led you to seeking election on the council?
Well, I have always wanted to give back. My community service for my own town started in high school, so I'll go all the way back to then. I majored then at government at Cornell University, government economics, policy analysis, then went to law school, thinking I would one day make my way back to government. I was a labor and employment attorney for many years, a commercial litigator as well. And in the back of my mind, I always thought, well, I need to find the time to give back to the community. So when I moved here to Tenafly, one of the first things I did was call up the borough and say, you know, are there any volunteer positions? And that was the first thing. And they sort of led me to our Democratic committee and our borough committees. And the first thing I did was get involved with those. And so I'm very thankful for that opportunity. And since then, I've just been trying to give back. And I first ran for our district position. I'm the District 9 representative here in Tenafly, and I did that for 2 years, tried to learn what the issues were in our town, and then decided that I could actually be effective and put my hat in for council. And that was 6 years ago. I'm very thankful. I've been elected twice to be the councilwoman of Tenafly. I'm very proud of that. And I have loved doing this position very much.
You're very well known in certain circles. I know with the Gay Pride, which the flag raising is today. I'm glad I didn't miss that. I thought I'd missed it. You tend to get very involved in what's going on in the community. What are some of the things that, I guess, taking a tour of the past 6 years, what are some of the things that you're the most proud of?
There's a lot. First of all, I'm very proud to be able to do the position and speak to residents on a daily basis, because I'm a representative. So I'm here as their voice, and their voice is very important. If I go back through the years, I have to say, none of us sitting on council, the mayor and council, could have anticipated a pandemic during our tenure. And so the thing I am most proud of is creating with Mayor Judah Ziegler over in Leonia. He was part of my assembly race, and the two of us got together during the pandemic, and we said, how can we help? And the two of us helped create the COVID vaccine center that was open for Tenafly residents. So first and foremost, I have to keep the community safe. I have to keep them give them access to medical care. And there was nothing I was more proud of than to get that done efficiently, working with the state to get vaccines, working with Englewood Hospital. So for me, that came before anything to make sure that we were safe. And thankfully, we are in a very different position today. The second thing I think I'm most proud of, as you said today, is the beginning of our Tenafly Pride celebration for the month of June and for our year. More importantly than anything, when I was first starting, a man named Will Weir came and sat down with me and said, I don't feel welcome in my community. I've lived here for 20 plus years. I am a gay man, and I just don't feel like I feel welcome in my community. That same sentiment has been told to me from many residents, where I feel like an outsider. I feel like there's a language barrier. I feel like we're not creating a community of diversity here. And so one of the days that I am able to do to help bring our community together is Tenafly Pride. And today is the flag raising at 2. And then we have our celebration coming for June 11th. And this day is for our LGBTQ plus community, but it's also a day of tolerance and understanding, of bringing people together of every diverse background and every part of our community. And I think that that is very significant for Tenafly's history. Tenafly back in the day was not known to be a very welcoming community. And I think now we are. And I think that's incredibly important. People look to move here and invest here in their businesses. And I think it helps our community meld. The other thing that I work on with that is the welcoming committee for our new residents. As we bring people into Tenafly, what does our community look like? How does our community welcome new families, new residents, new seniors? And so I've loved working on the welcoming committee and creating new events for our new residents, which has been outstanding. Roxana Suri is our chairperson, and we get to meet each and every family and be in contact with each and every new resident. To me, that's so important to build a community of people, because that's really what we are here in Tenafly, a very wonderful, diverse, and welcoming community. In the past 6 years, one of the other things I'm incredibly proud of is the work I'm working on for our downtown and our traffic. As many people know, I wrote the vacant property ordinance. And what that does is it does not allow landlords to keep storefronts empty and take a tax break on it. It is a very simple measure that says the landlords need to fill their downtown stores, be invested in our community, be in contact with our borough, and keep our community room swept and ready to rent. And what that has done in the past couple of years, it has filled storefronts. It's been wonderful to see our new businesses, to see our new restaurants, to see our new places that come. One of the most wonderful examples is Mel's Butcher Block. She is outstanding. She took a space right behind Cafe Angelique. And today and on Pride Day, she will be part of our community celebration. So now we have a downtown business that's wonderful and part of our community, which is an outstanding thing to build. So I look forward to those businesses continuing to come to Tenafly. As far as safety measures as well, I saw the gun store open up right behind my daughter's elementary school playground. I am a strong member of Moms Demand Guns, common sense gun measures. And the first thing I said was that seemed like a safety risk to me. We have enormous amounts of gun ownership here in town.
I'm surprised to find that. I was really surprised to find that out.
Yes, including in the pandemic, the numbers have, I would definitely say, doubled. I'm not sure if we reach a triple level, but gun ownership is very high. And I have nothing against gun ownership, but I do have something against guns being next to my daughter's elementary school playground. And so I wrote a zoning ordinance here in Tenafly. And that was an immediate reaction to having guns in our community spaces, our municipal spaces, our schools, our churches, our hospitals, our elder care centers. And so that zoning law, right now is helping form just a common sense barrier against places where people are, I would say, so much more vulnerable. I would say people are vulnerable all over, but that was one of the things I'm very proud of getting passed here, and it passed unanimously in our council. I actually have put that measure up to our state, and so they are debating whether that will go forward in our state as well.
Wow.
Yes. As far as environmental issues, I have been pushing for green cars and EV cars for years. In our budget, we are constantly looking to bring in EV chargers here. I know one of our main goals was to make sure that our borough employees have access to green technology. And so we are looking, of course, to all options for solar power on our buildings, green cars, better equipment that can be electric and not gas powered, such as a leaf blower, for example. We are debating leaf blowers. So throughout the borough and throughout this time, I've put that in our budget every year and said, we need to invest in this kind of technology. One of the other things I'm enormously proud of working on is that as liaison to the Tenafly Nature Center, I helped advocate and budget for the hydro raking of Pfister Pond. We are so lucky here in Tenafly to have 400 preserved acres. It
Wow.
keeps our nature there. It keeps our children running through the forest and being one with nature. Our seniors are able to get up there and enjoy programming. And so our nature center could not afford to hydro rake. And one of the things that we did with our open space money, which is designated for green space and recreation, was to clean up our pond. And we hope that pond will remain a great ecosystem for the next 20, 30, 50 years after that work. And I think that it's one of the best things we have here in Tenafly. And I think Deborah Davidson over there, the director, she's outstanding. And now we're looking at the Nature Center to how do we bring more community to the Nature Center? We're looking at pathways for differently abled. One of the big pushes we're doing, I know you're on the
Yes.
Access for All committee, and so we hope you work with us, is we've applied for a grant to make our pathways more ADA compliant. We want our seniors to be able to take walks in the Nature Center, whether they're with a walker, with a wheelchair. We want our differently abled community members to be able to come out there. I'm also working on inclusivity playgrounds. I've been asking for playground equipment that helps differently abled children come out. And working with our rec department, we've made an inclusivity play date, because many times some of our children, that whether they need different ways of learning, different ways of moving, they are not part possibly of our rec programs, and we wanted to bring our rec programs to them. So we've been working on that as well. And I'm very proud of those efforts, because again, our community is about the people. So how do we reach each and every person so that they feel welcome? So my goal as councilwoman is to find ways where we can bring our community together. One of the other things that actually we just received here in Tenafly was an age-friendly designation. I want our seniors to be able to comfortably age in place with dignity, with ease. I want them to have a tax burden lifted. I've been fighting for more senior freeze and tax benefits. I've been talking with people on the state level. It's one of the things I ran on as an assemblywoman, was how do we get our seniors more tax breaks? But with an age-friendly designation here in Tenafly, what we're able to do is apply for state grants. And that brings wonderful things for our senior community, whether it's benches on walkways or programs about how do we get financial help, or how do we get new resources for our seniors. Because I don't want our seniors to move out. They have invested their lifetime here in their community. And I want them to be part of our thriving community for the rest of their lives. I want them to feel like they have security here. I'm the liaison to our senior services coordinator and our committee. And while we have a very active senior center, the senior services committee is actually for those seniors that may not be as active, maybe more homebound, may have a little dementia, whose families have reached out to us and say, can you keep an eye on mom or dad? Can you keep an eye on my neighbor? And those are where I have been trying to bring in services. So whether we bring in nursing home care, whether we bring in cleanups and hoarding, whether we bring in the senior bus for transportation to medical needs or errands, these are things and resources we can give back for our seniors. So we have a wonderful social worker named Risa, and she has been doing an outstanding job in outreach.
She's awesome.
She's incredible, just incredible. I'm so thankful to have brought her on and work with her right now, because again, these are the seniors I think who need the most services. And with the age-friendly designation, we are going to be applying for a lot more resources to make sure that they're okay.
Yes, I don't know what counts as a senior in Tenafly, but I'm 64 today. I'm just a year away from.
You're young. You're young.
But I can appreciate that, because Tenafly is an expensive place to live, and those are some of the thoughts that you have to tackle with as you move forward in time in Tenafly. So thank you for addressing those things.
Thank you. Well, listen, I think more importantly, you should just be an active member of our senior center now, which does incredible programming and, really has wonderful, wonderful seniors there that are active, they're vocal, they're on our committees, they're in town doing wonderful work, they're socializing. They get to go to Broadway, and trips. They're doing Michelle House over there and her staff are doing a fantastic job. So I would
Yes,
just
they
need to
are.
sign up for that.
It's a great place to be. If there were more hours in the day, I would definitely allocate some hours there.
Yes, absolutely. The other thing, which is behind the scenes, is one of the things I've been working on is making borough efficiencies. One of the ways to save taxpayer money is to make our borough work better, more efficient, more cost effective. So behind the scenes, the labor and employment attorney in me has been doing things that are reducing costs. One of the things that I did was create a human resource director. And what that does is it allows our employees, number one, to have a great person to speak with at all issues, but also to reduce grievances and lawsuits, which were very costly before I got on council. And so with human resource director working things out and acknowledging issues and being proactive about those things, our taxes in borough litigation have come down. I've also been the person behind the new website and the new communications. So one of the biggest complaints I've heard from many residents over time is that they don't have communication given to them by the borough. They don't know what's going on. One of the things I've strived to do as a councilwoman is to get the public informed. So whether it's our local community events like our Pride Day or an issue that's coming before council or a planning board, our new website, which I helped create and design, is a great resource for our residents now. And so instead of having, just the newsletter and paper, which we still have for many people who are not on the website, we also have this brand new, resource to send out communications. You can sign up. You could sign up for recreation events and notices. And so I hope to see that eventually become, a phone app, which would be great. And you could just, hey, there's a pothole on Angle Street, please fill it right away. And so we're continuing to work on that. And I think technology is a great way to get our community involved.
Yes, I think so. I've been trying to share information on Facebook and through the podcast and so forth. So if there's anything you'd like help spreading around, please let me know and I will post it, wherever I can for as long as it needs to be there.
Social media we are discouraged from sending things out to social media because not all of our community is on it. And so that's a very difficult thing to do. We hope to create a Tenafly borough social media at some point. That is, I think, the best way to get facts. And again, sometimes social media, not your podcast, but we have to be careful with social media.
Yes, right now we live in polarizing times. It's very disconcerting that we seem to have lost the ability to talk to one another and to politely disagree and to consider what the other person's perspective is. It seems now that you're on a side. I remember when I was first on the Democratic County Committee, tons of people that I'd been interacting with for years unfriended me because I'm a Democrat. And before that moment, it didn't matter. We just didn't talk about politics on my social media. But when I shared it, it caused a reaction. So it seems to have gotten a little bit better since then. And I discovered, because I move in a lot of circles, that politics need not be center stage, that we could disagree on politics, we could disagree on spirituality, because mine is a mythic spirituality that's very Jungian and Joseph Campbell-y and things like that. And it's okay. We could focus on things of mutual interest, like UFOs or cryptids or ancient civilizations or whatever I happen to be talking about.
One of the things I learned, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for many years,
Mhm.
where it was my opinion was rarely the most common in the room. And one of the things I learned in my law school down at Emory was that there are wonderful great ideas on all sides.
Mhm.
And if you are not willing to listen to all sides, you will seriously miss out on points that you may not have thought of yourself, or you may not see the perspective. And you may disagree, but at least you can hear them.
Yes.
So I have friends on all sides. I worked in Washington, D.C. I actually worked for the Democratic National Committee. And I had a great friend who worked for the Republican National Committee at the time. And we would have wonderful spirited debates. And that's policy. And I loved being a policy analysis major, because you see all sides of policy, and you need to see the sides that maybe you want to turn a blind eye to. And I wish we had more policy debates at our table. I find that many times at the council level, people don't even voice an opinion at the council table, which is frustrating to me, because if you are taking a stand, I'd like to know why. I'd like to know a basis or factual data behind it. And so one of the things I think, whether it's me or whoever gets there, needs to work on is that we should have more policy discussions that do not become heated, that become interesting and fascinating and raising good points on all sides of the issues.
I would like, until there is a social media network for the borough, because I was talking to people about the podcast, and people approached me about the podcast in Tenafly. And one of the things that has been coming up repeatedly is that people would like to hear people discuss different things and see the different perspectives. So until that is a reality in the borough, I would like to do shows on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I was actually surprised at how little sometimes we get to debate, and how, unfortunately, the public isn't aware that we are raising an issue or discussing it. So again, I think communication is so important and so vital. And I think people are interested. People say, oh, they're not interested, but I think people are. On a local level, people want to know where their taxes are being spent, what kind of vision people have for Tenafly, what kind of issues we need to work on. And, I get a ton of phone calls, a ton of emails, a ton of texts, even social media calling me out to look at issues. And that's where I love being a representative. Because I think that, like I said, my very first thing that I'm super proud of is speaking with our residents every day. And so you can't be this position if you are not in the community, talking with the community. And I go to various different events. I go to various different sports games and speakers. I try to listen in on, different conversations, different perspectives, because that's our community. And we are not all one voice. We are many wonderful, diverse voices. So it's so, so important, I think, to get communication out that we're discussing a topic, and then to hear different perspectives.
I consider that very important too. In fact, I spend part of my day, each and every day, listening to things, mostly these days on social media, but it used to be more in-person conversations of opinions that wildly disagree with or vehemently disagree with what I happen to believe or ways in which I view the world, just to, reality test my own ideas, or at least understand why the person's taking the stance that they're taking. So I believe that that's a good practice for us to cultivate, because again, unless you're able to hear what somebody who disagrees with you is saying, they might have an idea that all of a sudden reshuffles all the ideas in your head and puts them in a different perspective, which will allow you to act. So it's a very useful thing.
Yes.
So what do you think some of the major challenges facing Tenafly at this particular point are?
Well, you have to start with taxes, because taxes in New Jersey are higher than the rest of the nation. And so you can't do this position without being well aware that our tax rate is off the charts. Unfortunately, for towns like Tenafly, we pay for, obviously, the school district gets a significant portion of our taxes. We also pay for our police force, which no longer has a cap of, on their salaries. And so each negotiation for each of our unions is incredibly important. And that's our police, our fire, not our fire, our DPW, our administrative staff. Our road program is a significant cost. The state does not fund the infrastructure significantly enough to offset the municipal burden. So fixing our roads, our traffic lights, our, parks and playgrounds, that's a cost. And so one of the things I am always looking for is, where can we find other revenue sources? Building back our downtown is one way, and that's a great way because that does bring in, when all the stores are filled and everything's filled, it brings in wonderful people that want to move and invest here in their property. So when homes are sold, that's a great revenue generator. When we have grant opportunities, that's an excellent way to apply. But, many of the grants are income-based. So our community happens to be on the more affluent side of that, and we lose out on some of those grants, which is a shame, because then again, it places the burden back on our taxpayers. We have some opportunities to offset infrastructure revitalization with our open space trust. And what that is money set aside for recreation and green space. One of the biggest issues that I have right now, and the biggest challenges I have, is that my current council will not spend our open space trust money. We actually say for every $100 that we collect in taxes, $3 of it is going to go to improving our green spaces and our recreation. Except that in the past 6 years, almost none of it has been spent. Like I said, I got the hydro raking in for Pfister Pond, but we need to do better. We need to do better for our nature center. We need to do better for our recreational fields and our sports. And that money is sitting in a trust. I think at this point we have almost over $3 million. The communities around us have offset spending taxes using that money. A perfect example is our basketball lighting. Our basketball lighting is allowed to be funded by open space recreation. And my council, instead of using open space, budgeted in taxes to spend it rather than use it for open space, which was already designated. And so then what happens is the taxes get raised because we are adding in that cost rather than utilizing the trust that was designated for it. And that's a huge challenge. And it's something I have been fighting for and advocating for, that we utilize our open space money and give it back to our community spaces and fix them and revitalize them. I think in terms of challenges for our town, other than taxes, obviously, we all live in a town that was designed 200 years ago with horses and buggies and a working steam train. So the issue of our traffic is major because we have an old railroad that is in the center of our town. It runs next to our schools. It runs next to our downtown. It runs through our community. And it's very difficult to plan a city infrastructure with that existing. We just had a wonderful presentation by BFJ planners, and I hope our public went out and saw it, which actually has a 3-phase plan on how to completely redo downtown Tenafly traffic patterns, changing lights, changing road patterns, changing directions, for example, making Piermont 2 ways. And with those changes, it actually will affect commuting time, getting around our shopping area, and getting through our town to other communities. That's a huge investment, and I want to make it because the future of Tenafly depends on that. People move into Tenafly because they want to live in a place that makes sense for commuting to New York City. And right now we don't. And so if we don't make those kind of investments into infrastructure, we're really going to lose out on wonderful families and wonderful homes being filled. And a wonderful downtown that would be thriving. And so that kind of challenge is a very hard one to pay for. So that, I think, will be something I'm going to be looking for grants. There's safe streets, there's traffic study grants. We're going to be working with both the county and the state. And it's something I want to continue to work on because it's so vital to Tenafly and to its future.
Wow, sounds like you're going to be very busy. Now, are there any areas that we didn't cover in what's been discussed so far? I want to make sure that everything you want to say, that you get an opportunity to say it.
I think that while I sit here, people want to know about the ballot line. if you don't mind, I'd like to take a second.
Sure.
In New Jersey, we are the only state in the entire 50 states of the United States that has the ballot line the way it is. In every other state, the political parties, Republican or Democrat, do not choose a candidate until the voters have a say in the primary. So on our ballot, and I have our ballot right here. Let's see if I can get this into the screen. On our ballot, up here are political parties. And we have, for both Democrat and Republican, a party-backed candidate. What does that mean? It means that the party has chosen who they think should be that position. And they give them funding, and they give them resources, and they give them the first ballot line. There's an incredible professor named Julie Sass-Rubin in Rutgers University who has been studying the New Jersey ballot line for about 10 years. And it is 3-to-1, 4-to-1, sometimes 5-to-1 odds that the ballot line wins the election. So instead of the voters choosing who will make it through a primary with debate and discourse, and instead of the voters going out and saying, I believe I want to listen to what the candidates have to say, the party has prematurely made a decision on who they think would be best for the position. Now, I run on the party line. I am running off the party line today. There is a difference, and it is a real difference. So for me to win this election, people have to come out and vote only my column, which is a very hard ask in the council level. They can vote the party line, but to have them move a ballot line over is a very hard challenge. And so the ballot is set up to allow that party candidate to be easily voted down the line. This is something that I think disenfranchises voters. I think it also discourages people who want to run. And so for me, the most important thing we can do as voters is to become informed, to make a good informed choice, to listen to platforms like this one, where I can put positions out and actually say, does this candidate make sense for me? And if so, I need to find that person's name and find out where they are on the ballot and not just vote down a party line. And so I think as we go into this primary, it is so important to have informed voters. It is so important to make an informed choice. And again, I'm going to show you the ballot. So my name is all here. I don't know if you can see, is it backwards on the screen? My name is here. I am my own party running as the Real Bergen Democrats, which has always run off the line and whose colors are bright green and blue, even though the flyers sent out were bright green and blue. That is this party's colors. And so this here is my council seat. And if you want to vote for me, this is the only place that you vote and not this column. I happen to like these candidates and I hope you come out and vote for them. And it's the same thing, by the way, if you're voting Republican, except that the Republicans have no challengers, which is, again, I think part of the party politics in New Jersey.
And that is something that's come up on this platform very many times, especially with independent voters, that New Jersey is very behind the times in many ways with independent voters, and that there are systems used in other states that are more equitable and they allow equal access to all the candidates. And I always ask myself, what can I do in my small way? Because I know I can't fix the problems of the world. So I try to figure out with the resources that I have, what can I do to remedy this? So because this conversation has come up, numerous times, and you brought it up again today, I'm willing to devote time to continue this conversation, at least here. That's something I could definitely do without grants or anything else. So we will get that done, and people can hear that argument focusing on what the issues are. But thank you for bringing it up.
One of the easiest ways you can do that, Hercules, is actually go to the betterballots.org page. There's a petition there that we are trying to get I say we, there's an entire team of people working on this, trying to get public support and awareness. And the page, Better Ballots, has enormous amounts of information. There's a lawsuit coming in New Jersey about how this actually discourages choice for voters, that it is chosen for them and not by them, which is huge. Because like I said, it's the voter's voice who needs to be heard. My job is to represent the voters' concepts and ideas here for Tenafly. And so I spend every day listening to our voters, our constituents, our Tenaflycians. It makes me very proud to do this position. I'd like to continue it. And I'd like to not have to fight a ballot system to do so.
But when you're fighting the ballot system, you're bringing to the table all of the skills and the passion and the drive that has moved you on this path so far. So I wish you success in this and all your endeavors. But sometimes I found that life presents opportunities as problems, and then by facing the problem, you know, all sorts of doors open up. So who knows? You might have a destiny, you know, behind you in this area.
Well, thank you. You know, if this isn't my path forward, that's okay. I have been really honored to represent Tenafly for so long. It has truthfully been one of the highlights of my life to come out in my own community and try to make change and try to build the future that I want my daughters to live in. You know, like I said, inclusive, equitable, fair, full of recreation and green spaces, environmentally friendly, diverse, and just be a welcoming community for all. And that's where my daughter should be raised. That's what I'm trying to create here for all families and all residents. And, you know, hopefully one day age in place gracefully in Tenafly.
May that indeed be true.
Thank you.
Now, how can people get involved in your campaign? How could they learn? Because I did not know that if you voted off line, you couldn't vote for anybody else on the line.
No, that's not true. You can vote for everybody on the line.
Okay.
You can make your choices on both sides of the ballot. You can vote for anyone you want on any position. What you do is you go to the position. So let's see if I can do this. So here it'll say Tenafly Mayor. You could pick who you want for mayor. Then it'll say Tenafly Council, and you pick who you want for council. So go by. That's why I'm saying the ballot is incredibly confusing to voters. You may vote. You know, you may vote for Mayor Zinna and vote for me, even though we're on two different lines.
I understand. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes.
And, as to information not getting out, I remember when I first was elected to the committee, and again, I was telling people this with mixed reactions. A lot of people in Tenafly said, we have committees, you know, we have committee people. So they'd never heard of it. And some of these people were very well-educated people that I was in professional relationships with. So I was very surprised that a lot of information that we take for granted is not common knowledge in our community, you know, throughout our community. So I don't know how to bridge that. I tried starting a group for District 7 on Facebook years ago, and in all the time I've run it, and I occasionally post it. I'm going to do that again because I'd like to communicate with people more often as well. Nobody's asked to join the group or even looked at it or commented on it. So I have to come up with another way.
Well, I do think, you know, people don't realize that our Democratic committee gets to debate ideas. One of the things that I have requested of our chair, Sean Mahader, is that the public can join debates on topics. I said, why don't we make a topic on downtown infrastructure? Why don't we make a topic on traffic? Why don't we make a topic on rec spaces and invite public to come and debate with us and hear opinions? And I am told time and time again that these are closed meetings for the 24 of us to discuss. And I thought, well, how am I supposed to know what to discuss if I can't hear from residents? And unfortunately, at the council level, the meetings are late into the night. They're Tuesdays. Many people have their own families or their own work responsibilities. We live in a town of wonderful professionals, thank goodness. They don't have the time or the ability to sit through our meetings. So I always think, and one of the reasons I made a new website is I would like to actually start surveying. I need to hear easier ways to communicate with our residents and to get feedback. And I think, I always think that having an app or having something incredibly convenient using technology is a great way to hear back. I don't always find social media to be the most accurate. And so sometimes the debates are not based in fact. But if the Borough website had we are looking into this traffic pattern. Are you interested in this? Would you want your tax dollars to get spent in this way? That kind of feedback, I think, would be invaluable.
Well, the website is having results so far, because I hear people saying that an issue is being discussed and they wanted at least to listen and to have the opportunity to speak. So they tune in for as long as they need to hear what's being said about that issue. So people are responding to that. And although even though I use technology to do what I do, I only know as much as I need to know to do what I need to do. So apps are mostly over my head, but I know that there are apps now in neighborhoods even where people communicate with each other and exchange information. So that's a good thing.
It is. And so one of the things I want to continue to work on is to get our residents involved, or at least informed, especially, through this election. But for the next 6 months, I still sit in a council seat no matter what. And so we have a lot of work to do, a lot of fantastic work to do. You talked about dreams. What is my vision for Tenafly? Getting our community cohesive, doesn't have to be a cohesive opinion, but together for community events, to come out to support year-round all of the different wonderful things we have in our community, to get our neighbors talking and not fighting, to get our families understanding each other, to get our school children playing with each other. That's my dream.
That is a noble dream, and may it come true.
Thank you.
Now, how can people get involved with your campaign?
That's right. So, like I said, I am not funded, I am self-funded. So one of the ways that they can do is actually to reach out to me directly. My phone number is 845-461-8156. And I am constantly posting my own social media. I am not spending on a mailer. Well, I'm probably not spending on a mailer. They are incredibly expensive. And I'm not sure that they get people to the ballot. I would like people to be invested and interested in voting, because they are interested in the future of Tenafly. And they want to know what Tenafly will look like in 3 years if I continue to be a councilwoman.
Thank you. That is impressive. And again, I wish you great success in this and all your other endeavors. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy morning to speak with me. And I look forward to our next conversation, which will probably be offline.
Well, Hercules, first of all, thank you for taking your birthday time. That's a very special day, and I hope you are celebrated. Every year is super important. And so I hope you are surrounded today with love and family. To Tenafly, I hope that you come to the ballot and you make your voice heard, because each one of those voices is important. Please come out and vote in the primary on June 6th. Vote for Councilwoman Kohn Dayton, that's me, on column 2. And thank you again for the honor of serving our community for so long. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.